All over Britain, there are archaeological sites that are too dangerous to access or excavate. They could contain unique and valuable evidence of our past, which, if not investigated, will be lost forever. EXA is a team of highly skilled archaeologists. Katie Hurst, in charge of excavation. Alice Roberts, doctor and expert in human bones. Meg Waters, geophysicist and digital imaging specialist. All experts in their chosen fields who are determined to get into these inhospitable places to forensically assess, survey and extract the evidence. The expedition leader will be me, Mark Davis, volcanologist, climber, caver and diver. This is archaeology on the very edge. This week we plumb in the depths beneath Gloucestershire, searching for signs of Stone Age man. This is the Forest of Dean, a lush and ancient woodland covering over 27,000 acres on the border of England and South Wales.
13 years ago, a group of cavers were following this stream as it disappeared down through a hole in the ground. What they discovered turned out to be Britain's 10th longest cave system. Now, as they began to penetrate deeper and deeper, they unearthed human and animal bones, including this mammoth tooth, a species which disappeared from Britain well over 10,000 years ago.
Was it a one-off find? Was this cave system a treasure trove?
EXA's objective is to find evidence of habitation for Stone Age man in and around this cave system. But in order to do that, we must first prepare ourselves for a long, strenuous and dangerous expedition just to get to the excavation site in the first place.
The caves are chillingly called Slaughter Stream. We will be the first archaeologists to set foot in them. Let's hope we are not the last. Our task is to establish if the caves contain valuable Ice Age archaeology. We'll be spending a lot of time underground, but the delivery team will be on hand to ensure our safety. We are going into the caves via an entrance created by the cavers a couple of metres away from Slaughter Stream.
I think in no uncertain terms, this is probably the most physically demanding site we've investigated. So if anyone is feeling really tired, even if it's just an hour into the system, you know, do say and tell one of the delivery team, okay? Katie, there's a number of sites that we told there's bones in, so there's a lot of excavation for you, but I think the thing to do is to go to the first one, and if it looks good, let's just work there, not try and, you know, bite off more than we can chew by going too deep into the system. And Alice, if we've been told by the cavers that there's absolutely a wealth of bones down there, so it'll be great for you, so if you can work with Katie to start off with. And we've had a specific request, Meg, from the caving group to try and locate other entrances to the cave system. So I guess if you go down and see how the caving system lies and then come back up, take a look at the GIS and see if you can find any, and that'll be magic, yeah?
We do have a reasonably strict time limit, 8 hours underground. It's because when we're underground, things tend to take a lot more out of you than they do on the surface. You know, when we're digging and when we're, you know, just sorting through the archaeology, you'll be twice as tired down there.
It sounds hideous. Bye!
We've all got small cameras on our helmets, as some parts of the cave are too tight for our cameraman to work safely. This will be the last daylight we'll see for 8 hours. Our first target is the cross-stream Junction, where an ancient hippo tooth was found by the cavers. It's only 100 metres in, but it's going to take a couple of hours to get to there. The first stage is climbing straight down almost 15 metres of narrow fixed ladders, previously installed by the cavers.
Okay, I'm down!
Meg is first in, and is closely followed down by the rest of the team.
I'm not a natural caver, that's for sure. It's not a place that I would choose to be.
So, are there 4 of these ladders to go down? Yes. Okay.
Well, they put this tight to the wall, didn't they? Shoulders can't get in.
At the bottom, Meg's about to face her first real test.
My goodness.
Yeah, I mean, it's not one of the tightest squeezes, but
It's not?
You'll have to take the pack off, you know. It's always going to be awkward.
Oh, Trev. I don't know about this.
Do you find that quite worrying?
Yeah.
It's a bit of a squeeze. It's getting really tight. Oh, I don't like this.
13 years ago, when the cavers entered Slaughter Stream, the place was littered with bones. They were carefully retrieved and brought to the surface.
They found that right by the entrance to the cave.
Isn't that a beauty? That's an almost complete beaver skull.
Yeah.
It needn't necessarily be very old. There were beavers around in this part of the world up to the 13th century. If you want something a bit more special,
Right.
that I think is an aurochs. That's one of these wild cattle. It's the distal, the far end of a radius, so that's the equivalent of the human wrist just there. But
Right.
of course, in a cow, you've got quite a bit of leg, which is actually made up of toe beyond that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's an aurochs. Aurochs were around in Britain till the Bronze Age, really. They're
Right.
just in the early Bronze Age. So you know that's quite an impressive find.
And this is what you wanted to see.
This funny-looking little object is actually the very back end of a big tooth, a tooth that would have been about so big, and it's on the left side. It's the last lower molar of a mammoth, woolly mammoth, and the teeth come through one after the other. The cheek teeth come. So this is sort of back here in the jaw.
Okay.
That's a nice find, that. And this is taking us back into the last ice age. This has to be at least 10,000 years old, and it's probably quite a lot older. That's an impressive age range for a very small group of material.
"10,000 years ago, when mammoth roamed the Forest of Dean, so did ancient man. This means there could be ancient human and animal bones in the caves. Our task is to find them and bring them to the surface." We're in a labyrinth of solid limestone caves, formed over hundreds of thousands of years. Our guide is Paul Taylor from the Forest of Dean Caving Group, but he's got a word of warning.
We have had one accident on this pitch in front where the guy fell 15 feet.
Really?
And that was because the anchor fell off where they'd put their ladder.
Oh, gosh.
Came off and he fell 15 feet.
Was he all right?
Broken leg and a broken jaw.
Yeah.
And about 6 or 7 hours to get him out.
Oh,
Just from here.
no.
So, you all right?
Yeah. What exactly attracts you to coming down these places?
I missed my life. I mean, just totally do it all the
I think
time.
you are completely insane.
Well, Katie, I think we should look at ourselves first. Because we do seem to end up doing this all the time.
We are 25 metres below the surface, but amazingly, we've only travelled 7 metres into the cave. With a big team, we're moving in single file and waiting for people to catch up. So everything is taking twice as long. As we squeeze further in and further down, oxygen levels will drop, as will the temperature. We'll tire quickly, and if we get wet, there is a risk of hypothermia. We've finally reached the balcony pitch. Next, we've got a 10-metre drop into the darkness to the next level. The only way down is on a rope.
Amazing drop.
Oh, this is an amazing chamber.
And it just...
And this is all made by just water action on the
all
rock.
water action.
Yeah.
All water action, yeah. It needs, the water needs to be acidic. Okay, take in! So the water rushes off. As soon as it comes into contact with the limestone, it begins to etch away and start excavating down through all the little cracks that were put in place when all this rock, and bear in mind this is marine rock, it used to be underneath the sea, when all this was squashed together and big fractures and fissures everywhere.
To add to the delay, we're dragging down the latest in video technology to try and set up a communication link with the surface.
This is the bit I'm not looking forward to.
You'll be all right.
Because it looks horrible.
After 3 hours underground, we're 50 metres down, but only 30 from the entrance. We've used up half our allocated time here. We haven't reached the first site, and we still have to tackle one of the toughest parts of the cave. We are 50 metres under the Forest of Dean, looking for evidence that Stone Age man lived in this labyrinth of caves. We are still heading to our first excavation site, the cross-stream Junction. It's only another 23 metres away, but we are faced with a squeeze we've all been dreading. In places, it's barely 5 inches wide, so we have to breathe in to get through. There are 2 streams running through the caves. If the cold and wet wasn't bad enough, some of the streams carry untreated human sewage.
Everyone all right?
Yeah, not that happy really, but
Why?
well, it's just a bit of a miserable place, isn't it? Just all the squeezes, and it's very cold down here as well.
That is the scariest thing I've ever done.
Really?
Squeezing through that tunnel.
Yeah.
And I kept on thinking, oh, I'm nearly there. And then Paul would say, well, that's halfway. And I'm like, okay.
Well, you've done it. I mean, that's the thing. You've got in, so
Yeah.
it's good. The only... Mike, how long have they got? 3/4 an hour?
Less than an hour, yeah, and then we've got to really start making our
Right,
way out.
can we say that it's now 4 o'clock? Can we say that 4:45, everyone has to be back at this stream junction?
It doesn't matter what you're finding. If we say move, we mean move.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Meg and I are going upstream to dig on a silt bank on which cavers originally found some bones. Katie and Alice are heading downstream to where a hippo tooth was found 13 years ago.
When they first broke in to the cave and came downstream, the hippo tooth was literally just lying here, just there.
Well, was it on the surface?
Just on the surface. There was no excavations done. I mean, it was almost one of the first bones that they found.
If the hippo tooth was actually on the surface, the stuff underneath is going to be really old. It's going to be even older than 50,000 years old.
Yeah, unless, of course, the hippo tooth was washed out of older sediments further upstream, and then it could be lying on top of younger sediments.
Yeah.
We've got less than half an hour left, so Meg and I are starting our excavations.
Okay. Oh, this is it. This is it. Yeah. Okay, Meg.
Well, we've
Good.
not got long, so you better do what
No.
you've got to do.
We'll just do a 1 meter swath like this, I think just down here on the edge coming off of the wall. And what's important actually is we're going to have to measure the depth of the features when we find them, although I imagine that you have some sort of churning around of soil and artifacts and things with the water. But I think what we'll do is we'll just measure down. We'll fix a point in the ceiling that we use as a main location, and we'll measure down from there.
Right.
Let's see, I'll do 1 meter across.
We are looking for human and animal bones dating back 50,000 years. That's in the last ice age. As a volcanologist, it's a time frame I understand. But archaeologists have their own way of dividing up the period they call the Stone Age.
Well, the Stone Age refers to the whole period of human activity in Britain up until you get metal cultures. So there's the Paleolithic period, which is the majority of the Stone Age. That covers the whole of the Ice Age and really just up to the very end of it. Then you've got the Mesolithic period, which in Britain is quite long. It lasts up until, say, 4,000 or 5,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And tacked on at the end of that, you've got a Neolithic period, which is a new Stone Age. And then you move into the Bronze Age.
Within a 5-mile radius, the Wye Valley is littered with artifacts and bones dating from the Paleolithic period. Why did early man choose to live here, and what was Britain like back then?
Well, over the last 600,000 years or so, there have been people in Britain, but they've been coming and going, mainly in the warmer periods until you get right up to the end of the Ice Age. And they would be moving into an environment which was inhabited by lots of quite large animals, large mammals. And depending on exactly what period of time you're talking about, those animals change. We can work out roughly where we are during the Ice Age according to what animals were turning up in association with human activity.
With no time left for excavations, Katie and Alice are going further downstream in search of bones.
Oh, wow. This is gorgeous. It's like a rainstorm. Wow.
The caving team have promised us that there's no sewage in this part of the cave.
That's beautiful. Wow.
Back on our side, we've run out of time.
Hey guys, hate to ruin the party, but it's time to start packing up. We've already gone over cut-off point, so we need to literally pack up now. The other guys have come up in the chamber, so we're going to start getting them moving.
Okay.
It's a huge disappointment. We found nothing in the sediment. Next time we come in, we'll start excavating the area where the hippotooth was discovered. 6 hours underground and we dreading the return trip. We wet, cold and bruised from all the squeezing and crawling. And now we are faced with a 10-metre climb up a rope ladder.
That's it.
No! Keep your feet off the walls, Katie. That's not good.
I did exactly what Mike told me not to do, which was to put my feet on the wall. And moved a stone, which is really dangerous. It's really stupid. It's just so tiring though, coming up there. I just wanted somewhere to put my feet other than the step ladder.
Well, 8.5 hours later, we've plummeted to the depths, got to the excavation site. As yet, got no significant finds that tell us that Stone Age man did actually live down in the cave system. It's hard to imagine, actually, how they could have access down to where we were. And at the moment, my gut feeling is any finds that we come across must have been washed in with all the intricate stream beds that plough down through the ground. Yesterday was about logistics. It was an absolute nightmare. The sheer size of the team meant that there was a number of bottlenecks right the way down through the cave system. And that's not good for morale because people begin to get cold and pretty miserable. So what we've decided to do today is to split the team into two groups, an underground and a surface party, and that'll make us far more efficient. Katie and Alice will go back down to the excavation site and continue their search for evidence of Stone Age artefacts. Meg and myself will come up on the surface and we'll hunt around for other possible entrances to this cave system.
You know we've got the worst of it to come yet.
You're joking.
Yesterday was only to, the first base camp we've got to get to the real sort of sections of screen. We've got to go to all the really tight areas and actually climb up some quite high rock faces down there.
Well, how much further is that from where we were?
About another hour.
Another hour?
In a smaller team, Katie and Alice are moving a lot quicker. They've reached Cross Stream Junction in just 1.5 hours. That's half the time it took yesterday. So our plan is working, but it is taking its toll.
Oh, my knees have got so many bruises on it. It hurts.
They're going to dig on a sediment bank where cavers found a hippo tooth. The hippo died out in Britain over 50,000 years ago, in the last ice age.
This is probably the best area in here. If we put a slot through here.
Right, so we get a section.
Exactly, we'll go through all the sediments. And I think this is actually where the hippo bone was found in the first place.
I think it was just about around there, so seems like a good place to start.
So if we take some of these boulders out. I'll just sort of mark it out.
Yeah.
Something like that. So what we'll try and do is work our way through the layers.
Yeah.
And record how those layers have formed.
Yeah.
And if we find any bones, then, we'll know
what level they were found.
Exactly.
Yeah, it can start giving an indication of time-wise.
Exactly, yeah.
While Katie and Alice have been digging, delivery team leader Mike and local caver Paul have found something surprising.
Katie.
Yeah.
Alice.
Yeah.
Paul just happened to notice
Some
in here
bones.
Yeah.
things that you've been looking for.
That's exactly what we've been looking for.
And they're not planted. We're literally just standing here watching you guys dig.
Yeah.
And
chatting and
Paul just pointed them out.
I bet you feel
just
really
noticed
smug, don't you?
You feel quite smug, don't you?
Well, I don't think it's terribly exciting.
It's a carnivore, isn't it?
Yeah, this is a dog tooth, I think, and presumably it's just dogs that have fallen down holes and got washed down.
I mean, we've got the.
I think
well
the best
done.
thing probably is just to bag them up and take them up to Andy, isn't it? Got something?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tooth.
You have?
Yeah.
Any idea what it is?
I've actually no idea, but it's certainly it's not human.
No, it's not.
And I don't think it's hippo either.
It's really weird, doesn't it? It's all sort of.
It is very strange. It's almost like it's got two roots fused together.
Yeah.
It's an anterior tooth. It's not a cheek tooth, a molar tooth. I can tell that much. But we need somebody like Andy. I'm just going to wash it in the stream a bit then to try and clean it up
That's
for
a bit
him.
more like it. Does it look any clearer?
No, it's starting to look like a stone now. I'm so much less sure about it now. I think I've got all excited about a stone. Oh, Katie!
They've been down there for 3 hours, and all they've found are some teeth possibly from a modern domestic dog, and one that could be a stone. There doesn't appear to be any ancient bones here, so Katie and Alice are closing the trench. They're heading back to cross-stream Junction and are ready to move on to the gravity dig, where the cavers know there are more bones, but Katie's got a problem.
How far away is the next site?
Distance-wise, it's only about 100 metres.
Right.
So it's time-wise,
20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
Depends on how long it takes you to get through the little tight piece, really.
Yeah, because I know it sounds really pathetic, but I think I should go back up because I don't feel too good.
I don't think that's pathetic. I think if you're feeling tired,
Yeah.
if you push yourself further,
I just
you've
think
got that
I'm
much
going
further
to
to go
really
back.
struggle getting back up to the top as it is. And
You feeling really tired now?
yeah, I'm just shaking.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take
Yeah.
you back up and we'll
Yeah.
just go slowly and take it easy because we don't want to rush you if you're not feeling great like
Yeah.
this.
Okay, well, go steady.
Yeah. I hate this ladder. I've got absolutely no strength left in my arms.
We are 50 metres under the Forest of Dean, in the Slaughter Stream Caves, the first archaeologists to have excavated down here. We're looking for human and animal bones dating from over 50,000 years ago, back in the last ice age. But the cave is beating us. We've crawled, scrambled, contorted our bodies, and all we've found are modern animal bones. And as yet, we don't know how they got in here. It's the team's second trip down, and Katie, our lead archaeologist, has dropped out exhausted.
Hi, Katie. You all right?
Yeah, I just felt so shaky down there. I just didn't think I should stay down.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it's best that you come out straight away anyway.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
because if you got even more tired,
Yeah.
getting you out would have been a pain. What's the matter?
I was just not feeling very well, and I feel really weak and shaky, and they were going to head off, and it was going to take at least 40 minutes there and back.
Yeah.
So, and it was going to be really tight.
Coffee?
Oh, thanks. So, I mean, I didn't even have the strength to get up that long ladder. They had to haul me
They
up.
hold you up, is that?
Yeah. So.
You're not feeling too good at all.
Yeah. I'm just not on top form at the moment.
Alice is still deep underground on her way to the gravity dig. With Meg and Katie back up top, she's the last remaining member of the archaeological team.
Oh, really?
4 hours into the caves, and at last she's spotted something.
It's too sharp.
For,
Yeah, it is much too sharp.
For a
Human. But the top end of it here is quite sort of similar shape.
what kind of bone is that within the body?
It's a radius, so in other words, it's one of your forearm bones down here.
It's very thin.
Yeah, it is.
Could this be the ancient bone we've been looking for? Further upstream, Alice has found more.
Some bigger bits.
Okay. Well, I think that's human.
What makes you think?
Looks like a human shin bone, which is down here, obviously. And this is the lump that you can feel on the inside of your ankle.
That's really exciting.
It is very exciting.
They look old, but she'll need to take a closer look back in the lab.
Okay, if we just
Alice has to press on,
make sure we remember
so she'll pick them up on her way out.
Thank you. You can be happy with what you've already got. How tight was that?
That was really tight. Is that the tightest bit?
That's the worst bit.
That was a real squeeze.
So we're going to be climbing up here, Alice, where you can see this trickle of water coming down. Yeah.
Oh, they're lovely.
After squeezing, crawling and climbing, Alice is faced with another 10-metre ascent up loose rubble, just to get to the excavation site.
Okay, climbing. Oh, it's really slippery. Oh wow, I can see bones already. Just scattered over the surface here, it's amazing.
Yeah, well, I hate to ruin the party. I know we've taken all this effort to get in here, but
Oh Mike, don't.
we've only got 5 minutes.
5, oh no way.
5 minutes, so you are literally going to have to grab what you can. Have a good look now on the head cams.
Yeah, I'm just taking some photos, so yeah, I'm gonna go and get those ones back there.
They've got a 3-hour journey back to the entrance. Perhaps it's just as well Alice doesn't know that at the top of the gravity dig, she's only 10 metres from the surface. Katie is sufficiently recovered from her underground ordeal to discuss with Andy Curran the bones from Cross-Stream Junction.
Pieces here, these all seem to be dog teeth. This is the upper carnassial tooth, this is the shearing tooth.
That one I didn't recognise at all.
It's a tooth you don't often see mainly because it's right at the back of the dog's mouth. But that's its last molar. These are little fragments that probably go with that.
From the jaw.
Huh, really?
Yeah. What else have we got? That's a stone.
Stone, I think.
Oh no, it's the root of the tooth.
This is what we found right next to the hippo tooth area.
I'm not excited by it.
You're not.
There's nothing terribly unexpected. These are the kind of animals that you expect on a modern farm.
Alice has excavated and retrieved a small collection of human bones. Could this be the evidence of early man that we're looking for?
Oh, my light's gone out. Hello? My light's gone out.
How was it?
Right. Big trip.
Yeah?
Been a long day.
Strenuous?
We've got some
Yeah, absolutely. I'm exhausted.
pretty cool finds in there.
Oh, bag full of bones.
I think a couple of them are human.
Really?
Really?
Human?
Yeah.
Are they in your trap?
Yeah.
Give us the bag of the bones and we'll get it cleaned up.
Brilliant.
Good, well done.
Back in the lab, Alice has cleaned up the bones and has examined them for any clues.
This was the first one I found down in the stream, and when I first saw this I wasn't quite sure. I thought maybe I was kidding myself and it was wishful thinking that it was human, but it actually is. I mean, now that I've cleaned it up and had a good look at it, it's a human radius.
So that's forearm?
Yeah, yeah, it just sits there in the forearm. The other thing about it was that I noticed these marks on it, and I was thinking that they might be cut marks, so they might be evidence of defleshing, which is part of a burial ritual in some prehistoric societies. And I showed it to Andy Current, and he immediately disabused me of that. And in fact, what it is rodent tooth marks on the bone. So a little rat has been sort of gnawing away at it. 2 fragments here of the same tibia or shin bone.
Right.
And this is also in the stream. The unfortunate thing about it is that because they're all in this stream where you've got human sewage coming down, it means that they've been contaminated with more modern carbon, so we can't radiocarbon date it. All we know is that they're old. The thing which still intrigues me is how on earth they ended up down there in the cave.
These bones are old, but they are not Ice Age, and so our search continues.
We're in grave danger of collecting an enormous amount of bones with very little meaning, no story attached. So every single member of the team today has a set of specific instructions on what to target.
But I think to maximise time...
Katie will stay on the surface. In her place, we send in Jim, our field archaeologist. But this will be his first time in a cave.
I think what we're really missing at the moment is some bones from a really secure context. We need stratigraphic layers, because everything that we found at the moment has just come from the surface.
It's just been washed in, right?
Well, we assume it's been washed in.
I don't think the ones in Gravity Dig have been washed in. I think they've just fallen from the ceiling. And I think that if we dig down in there, we might find something a bit
That's what we really need to establish.
I still want to find out how the human and animal bones got down into the caves. 30 metres away from the entrance is a geological feature that could answer my question. It's a sinkhole, where the ground above a cave has collapsed, creating possible access points.
See, so this is a typical sinkhole. In fact, you could find them even smaller than that. You know, this is rather large, I think.
This is quite impressive.
Yeah. But you can imagine a stream running, you know, underneath us, etching out a bit of a cavern, and then the whole thing, like a piston, sort of collapses downwards.
If I was a farmer and I was dealing with a group of dead animals or the odd dead animal once in a while, I wouldn't go to the trouble of digging a hole to get rid of them if I've got somewhere like this at the bottom of my field. It's a natural dustbin.
Yeah.
If we find a sinkhole above where Alice and Jim will be at the Gravity Dig, it could explain how bones got down there.
So what we need to do, Meg, is take this...
Meg hasn't been able to carry out any radar survey because the ground is just too uneven. So she's working with mapping specialist Pete Wilkinson, trying to locate the Gravity Dig on the surface. Pete's using our GIS system to pinpoint the Gravity Dig. Then, if there's a sinkhole above it, Pete will find it.
So what I've done here, Mark, is I've taken the information from the GIS and I've extracted it onto the pocket device. So now we can bring it out into the field to use.
We've marked on the sinkhole that we want to try and find. So I'm just going to use this tool to draw a line between the two. And that's going to tell me that it's a distance of about, well, between 14, 15 metres, and it's on a bearing of about 70 degrees.
Yeah.
So if you can tell me which way north is,
yeah.
If we can walk in about 14 metres in that direction.
Okay, well north's in that direction.
So bearing of about 72 degrees.
Let me set it up.
And it's about 14 metres.
In fact, it works out that it should be just down on the stream bed, so we just have a little...
Great. So Alice and the group are they're just below us here.
They should be just 10 metres below us.
Well, this is obviously, it's a little stream bed. It's not a sinkhole.
Yeah, you've got to put it in the whole geological context.
Yeah.
I mean, in limestone terrain, the river will run across the top. Soon it'll find a crack which will start to etch out, and that becomes a sinkhole.
Right.
And that can drop down, find another plane of weakness, and carry on horizontally. So you begin to etch out a big cavern, and parts of that cavern can sort of collapse on it.
Sure,
so one minute you've got a sinkhole, yeah, and there's animals falling into it, and then the next minute it can be filled up again. So these things tend to switch on and switch off.
The sinkhole above the gravity dig may be a dry stream bed now, but I'm certain that sinkholes have been opening and closing above the cave for thousands of years. This could explain how the ancient animal bones got down there.
Jim!
Alice!
Hello!
You made it!
How's it going up there?
It's pretty good. I hadn't seen it before, so I'm just sort of having a quick look around and getting the lay of the land.
Brilliant. Hello, Jim.
Hi, Alice.
How are you?
I'm really cold.
What have you done?
Well, at the moment, what I've done is I've sketched and measured out this cone of material that we've got collapsing down from the hole in the roof. So what I'm just trying to do now, I've been collecting material from different sections in it, and now I'm cutting down into the bottom.
When you say material, bones?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm just feeling a bit cold now.
It is really chilly up
I know,
here.
for some reason it's much colder up in this section of the cave, and I've been up here for a good hour or so now. So.
Well, do you want to go down to the bottom and go for a wander?
Yeah. I think what I'll do is just sort of wander around to just warm myself up.
Yeah, go and get warm.
Alrighty. So my feet are freezing.
There's a cold draft at the top of the gravity dig, and the temperature has plummeted to a few degrees above zero.
You're not doing so well.
I just can't get my body temperature up again. I'm just a bit concerned.
Okay, and you've got really cold hands as well, haven't you?
Freezing cold hands.
Cold hands, cold toes. All right.
My feet are like blocks of ice.
All right, but you've had something to drink, haven't you?
I've had some glucose tablets, something to drink.
Okay, well, let's get you out. We'll get out slowly, because the longer you're down here, the worse it gets, obviously.
Yeah,
so we'll take you out now. And so let's just take it slowly but steadily out of here.
Alice is the last member of the team still working, but she's not alone.
Alice, this is Mark. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, loud and clear.
Good. What was that about Jim?
Well, when I got here, he was looking really cold actually, and he went down to warm up. But he's feeling pretty ill, so he's coming back up to the surface.
Okay.
You see what I mean?
It's all that mud on it.
It's the mud, and it's the fact I've just got no energy left. The climbers said that, I needed to get out, and I disagreed with them and said, no, I need to stay in, all this kind of stuff. And apparently I've just been told that's one of the symptoms of hypothermia, is that you become irrational. I don't think I had hypothermia, but I was certainly a bit irrational about it. But when I started stumbling around and falling over, I realised I probably better move. And it's good that I did, because it was very, very tough getting out of there.
In our search for Ice Age bones, it's Mike, not an archaeologist, who heads deeper into the 14-kilometre cave system with Paul.
Onto my belly. And I know we've got at least another half an hour, maybe even 45 minutes ahead of us at this kind of level of crawling.
Only experienced cavers can travel this far into the caves. It's extreme, even by Mike's standards. They're 150 metres below the surface, and 3 kilometres from the entrance. Paul wants to show Mike possible evidence of previous life in the caves.
You really can see.
Oh wow, look at that.
They are footprints.
Most certainly.
The prints look like they belong to a small dog. It can't have wandered in by the same route we've taken. It must have come in another way. But what happened to it? And where are the tracks taking us? Mike, leader of the EXA delivery team, is 4 kilometres from the entrance of Slaughter Stream Caves. He's on the trail of some animal tracks that are leading deeper into the cave system, leading them to a perfectly preserved dog skeleton.
There's a lot of reduction in size from a living animal down to its bones and to this kind of carcass size. So it was a good sized dog.
The cavers found the skeleton 13 years ago and quite reasonably won't allow it to be taken out. Experts have examined photos and have said it could be a hunting dog up to 10,000 years old.
I've just got this really horrible vision of this poor dog wandering through here, banging his head, because he would have had to jump up and down certain parts of it. You know, it's pitch black down here. There's no way whatsoever that he's going to be able to see.
Back at the gravity dig, Alice is using the fibre optic link to show the dome what she's found.
Yeah. I've got Andy with me. You've got some bones to show him, correct?
Certainly have. They're the ones that Jim has been digging out. I haven't seen anything that looks like human bone. Okay, Andy, can you see this? I think it's probably a cow's jaw.
From the shape of the jaw, it's a cow. I can't quite see the teeth very well.
No, I think this is going to be a case of getting it back up to the top and cleaning
Are the
it.
teeth flat on the biting surface, or is it a saw-shaped pattern?
Trying to feel through the mud. I think they're flat.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Just a hint it might be a horse. I don't know. I feel it's a cow. We can tell when it gets up to the surface.
But more of the... I mean, it's all domestic animal stuff,
It looks
isn't it?
domestic again, so more of the same.
Right.
It's unlikely we'll find anything older than a couple of 100 years at the gravity dig. So Alice is closing the trench. This area of the cave must have had a recent sinkhole open up over it, through which animal bones fell. It's been a disappointing trip so far. Alice is frustrated at the lack of finds. But having spent 5 hours underground, Mike has finally surfaced from his epic journey.
Hey, Mikey boy. I am completely exhausted.
Are you?
Oh, yeah.
Where have you been?
We ended up in this open chamber that's got big silt banks on, and littered, literally all over the top of the silt banks are bones. And you know, I wasn't going to go digging around because I know that's not what I'm meant to be doing. Because I'm not an archaeologist.
You fetched back the bones, though.
I didn't have any bubble wrap with me, so I had to, believe it or not, take off a woolly hat and put them in this. And I've been really careful on the way out. How are you going to tell from these? I don't know. I mean, that's your job. They all look very crumbly and small and. I don't know,
Well, the first thing to say is that they're completely different preservation from everything that's come out so far.
Right.
This looks like really old bone to me.
Right. What about that?
Wow. Well, that has got to be elephant bone.
Is that right?
That's probably our old mammoth. That's got to be. Look how thick walled the bone is, and it's sort of cancellar tissue all the way through. That is really exciting. That's Pleistocene bone. That's Ice Age bone.
It's an elephant?
Yeah. Well, a mammoth, but a mammoth is an elephant. So yeah.
I'll be honest, there are a few more bones up there.
This is nice. This is very nice. This is part of a humerus. That's the elbow joint down here, and it's something really quite big. I mean that. I don't know. I'd have to compare it with other stuff. That could even be a woolly rhino.
Wow.
God.
Good job.
You've done a really good job. It's been worth coming.
It's been, yeah, that's good. I'm really pleased.
That's brilliant.
Because we did actually, you know, we had to question whether we should pick the stuff up, but...
When did rhino go extinct?
They disappeared before the end of the last ice age, about 27,000 years ago, in Britain.
So that's the oldest, yeah.
That's
and you
amazing.
had that in your woolly hat?
Yeah. I had that in my woolly hats, yeah.
Go back down and get the rest of it. Go on.
It's a long way, I tell you. It's a good couple of hours in.
This is old bone. This is sort of middle of the last ice age type of stuff.
Wow.
30,000 years and older.
It's wonderful.
And although these are only fragments, they're very, very exciting fragments. And this is where the mammoth tooth turned up?
Exactly where the mammoth tooth turned up.
Well, that's perfect.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, this is exactly what we were searching for, because we were talking this morning that these sinkholes switch on and off, they fill up, they cement up, and then a new one opens up again. So on the gravity dig, it's all we're finding is domestic animals. So it's not really speaking that interesting, not that old. And we were speculating, wouldn't it be nice to find a gravity equivalent with old bones in it? Because if you find some of them, the chances are there's going to be a whole host of stuff in there. So
I'm hesitant to say it, but there are more bones up there.
There are.
Yeah.
What are you doing up here then?
After closer examination, Andy confirmed we had found woolly mammoth and woolly rhinoceros bones. They've been dated between 30 and 50,000 years ago, the last ice age. We only went 4 kilometres into the cave system, and there's another 10 that need investigating. There may well be an ice age entrance to the caves somewhere in the forest. Alice is coming out with only a handful of bones. It's all she's got to show for almost 3 days of dangerous and deep excavation.
23 hours you've been down there over the last 3 days.
Oh, no way, really?
Yeah, 23 hours.
Well, there's plenty more.
This is the first time she's seen Mike's remarkable discoveries.
This is superb. This is better than we can have hoped for, I think.
Oh, what an amazing sight.
How lucky you went off on that little diversion.
Absolutely, yeah.
And this probably dates from the period when Neanderthals are coming back into Britain after a very, very long period of absence, after about 100,000 years when there were no people around.
Yeah.
And this is when we begin to pick up Paleolithic archaeology again, after a really long gap. So it rather puts this cave on the map.
It's great that both you and Alice are happy.
Oh, I just think it's amazing. We've had human bones out of there, we've had animal bones, we've had fossilised bones. It's just...
No, it's good. And
it's
you know, for such a short period of exploration, I think it's really pushed information about the cave a long way forward.